right, this is Robert Forsch. Wanted to go live with an opportunity to show you a little bit more of the stationary Earth. NASA lies. We aren't spinning, wobbling, and gyrating through space. That is a lie. I'm on my way to the beach right now in Cherry Grove, South Carolina. It's a beautiful day, and I did a little YouTube video earlier today with the wind chime that was recorded by Rich and the London Guardian at the Flat Earth International Conference in Denver. I wanted to show you that, and right now there's a haze that's hanging in the air, and as I go in closer to the coast, that'll probably further increase. We'll see some of that. Today it's supposed to be 72 degrees in this area. It's an absolutely gorgeous day. The temperature right now is 50 degrees. However, with virtually no wind movement, it's very comfortable. So I'll be going out on the beach in just a little bit, and the tide is coming in. High tide is a little after 9 a.m. and with the non-movement of the wind, the atmosphere isn't moving. It's going to be particularly beautiful. Right here I'm approaching the Intracoastal Waterway. It's a bridge that goes over the top. To the right there's a swing bridge that allows boats to pass through. We're going to go up probably 100 feet above sea level right in just the near future, like at the top of the view there. So I want to thank my friends and family for the encouragement, also the excellent job done in exposing so much of the reality of the world that we live in. We live on a stationary plane covered primarily by water that exposes the impossibility of the globe. That's the big deal of that. The movement of the Earth has never been proven because it's not moving. It's stationary, just as God's Word says in many, many locations. And what that essentially means is that the official narrative of the supposed scientific community, they're lying. And the reason why I say supposed scientific community is because it's a false religion promoting a godless cosmic Big Bang, a celestial sneeze, a cosmic cough. It's not real. And people are basing their eternity on a lie, on a false reality. That's why this is a really big deal. Later on today, when I get home, I'll convert this to a YouTube video. And I've got a lot of content that I produce. I've been vlogging before I even knew what vlogging was. And I'm more than compiling information to prove the reality of the flat and stationary Earth. I'm compiling and amassing an army of people that aren't afraid to live, die, or tell the truth. That doesn't mean everybody that's talking about flat Earth is there with that last proclamation. I believe it's entirely God's grace is required to love and believe the truth, let alone find it. Right now we've got a lot of lights on, the power grid's up, it's all really nice. We're expecting over 20 million guests here this year. Artificial intelligence that's online and modifying the weather can actually shut down the power grid wherever, whenever. Let that sink in. What happens if the lights go out? What about that? What happens then? What happens when people don't have climate control to stop themselves from freezing to death? What then? What'll happen? A lot of people are going to die. They're going to die anyway. 3 people per second no longer have their human experience. Could happen for me today. I don't know. I'm good to go. Part of the other thing is there's a certain amount of gallows humor. I'm just I was a spiritually dead man walking, and I did not know that's the point of that. I thought I was born again well over 30 years ago, until I actually was roughly 4 years ago on Reformation Day. You can hashtag Robert Forsch, and if it's hard to spell, that's why I'm hashtagging it. It's a reservoir of an amazing amount of content, as well as hashtag NASA Lies, hashtag Water Seeks Level. I create hashtags as an effort to bypass some of the censorship and the digital quarantine that the system wants to put on humanity. Isn't that special? Kind of like the Matrix, Mr. Smith is saying, you're like a virus. Yeah, when Morpheus is getting the screws put to him and Neo's coming to rescue him. The truth is truly stranger than fiction. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. Right up in front of me, I'm gonna show you. You'll see the silhouette of it. Let's see, here we go. It's not just a water tower, folks. It's a cell tower. It's a worldwide communications touch point. Right there. Right now, it's all scaffolded up. They're fortifying the structure. They'll be repainting it. And right next to it, on the left-hand side, is a temporary tower. Maybe you've seen these before. They're pretty massive, and that's what we've got. I've got them featured on my YouTube channel. I videoed these guys working on the tower. When the grid goes down, it could happen here because of a hurricane. That happens. What'll end up happening then? Oh, I'm gonna take you out right now. I'm gonna take you out and show you something really cool. And it's gonna be the Prince Pier or the Prince Resort gazing pond. Okay. I want to show you what that looks like. I've got a lot of video of this. And I know it's happening right now because, well, let's put the gratuitous YouTube truth on there. You can hashtag that too if you want. So there's the Prince Resort. And what we've got is stationary water. Undisturbed water is flat and level, and that's that. There you go. How about that? Any questions? You got any water like that upside down? Huh? Spinning, wobbling, and of course, the gyrating globe? I don't think so. I know so. I know it's not happening. All right. So it's on out to the beach. It's a spectacular day. I could totally run multiple film crews out here if I had the resources to do it. Uh-oh, that's not good. All right, somewhere along the way I lost my little grommet to stop my camera from falling off. That's unfortunate. Okay, didn't expect that to happen. Well, so I'm going to take a moment and see if I can find it. All right. Totally didn't expect this. Okay. See, it spins onto the end of my rig there, and I don't see it there. I wouldn't even know where I would get a replacement for it. So anyway, it's still a valuable, still valuable footage. I just wanted to retrace my steps and see if I could find what I dropped. Alrighty. I've had stranger things happen, but yeah, I think I've got some components at home I can MacGyver in to fix this. It might have dropped underneath the seat of the car. This right here is a super powered light right there. I had this sticking out of the roof of the car. We were in our neighborhood looking for people walking around with hoodies. They appeared to be unwelcome guests. Stranger things have happened. All right. Because of the nature of what we're looking at and the time of the day, the tide coming in, I just wanted to show you a little bit of what it looks like out here as well. I've got a lot of footage that I've captured out here, time lapse as well as audio Bible merged with the beauty of this. So this is one of the weapons of mass instruction right there. That's the P1000. I've got an Eagle that I captured. That's on my YouTube channel. You can see them. I'm trying to find. Oh, this is pretty cool too. I want to incorporate this. Yeah, and that'll get still. I can make that happen a lot quicker just by easing it down. And that'll get perfectly still. I'm going to use the light to help look in my gear bag here. You know, it's interesting with all the different dynamics of working out the cinematography and all that. I think I can't even really set this down right now with what I got going on, which is kind of a challenge. I normally have my tripod all rigged up for that, but I went to the P1000, and so I'll just hold this out here and see if I can find what I'm looking for. Thanks for sticking with me on the broadcast. It's a bit of a challenge sometimes to work out the details. I'm gonna cut that for now. So in the summer, the sun comes up over there from this vantage point. Today it's going to come up way over here. Kind of interesting how that works out. That's because the sun and the moon and stars move above a stationary earth. That's the biblical proclamation. That's the reality that we observe, that I observe. I'm actually an expert on a lot of this. I've seen it time and time again. I put in a massive amount of time, not only capturing content to engage the heart and the mind, also to encourage the soul for eternity. What will it profit a man if he gain the whole world and lose his soul? It's a big deal. I'm going to switch this to a different device temporarily to hold it up. Well, that was unexpected. Well, I finally found what I was looking for. Thanks for your patience. I'll be able to rig this up a little bit better now. Let's see how stationary that is. Yeah, that's the little piece I was looking for. I did a video recently, or I re-liked it. It has a thumbnail of the bell and the water laying on its side out there at the ocean. That right there is the Prince Resort. Right on the other side of all those buildings is the open ocean. There's waves crashing on the beach. It's spectacular. The symmetry of the buildings is perfect. That's what you should know. That's the reflection. That's the building. And let's see if I can open it up like that. I've got recently featured my photo album again. One of the things that's happened, and I could tell you, but I'm going to show you. I think it's more powerful to show you one of the resources that has really helped me to see things from a different vantage point. It's having the technology and the tools to do it. So I'm going to take the framing grid and show it to you. So this right here is the framing grid of the camera, and when I line that up, I'll just take a shot. It's not like close to perfect, it is. We've got plumb and square. And that's how that works out. And it's been an exercise for me to see this all. An exercise for my eyes, for my heart. Realizing that not just me, but so many of us have been lied to on absolutely epic proportions. So much of what we've been told is a lie, and it's not limited to the governments of the world. It's more than that. It's the religions of the world. It's the marketing systems of the world to try and sell us lifestyles and stuff. And it's a big deal. There's the Porta unit right there. I've been heard saying we don't have toilet water flying out on people in Australia because of gravity. Well, hello, it's just water seeking its level. And then they bring out the most subscribed YouTube channel in the world, PewDiePie, to make fun of me saying that. And then he says that doesn't make any sense. Water seeking its level? Well, it does. It makes perfect sense. That's the reality. That's what it actually does. Whatever container it's in, does water bend? Does it curve? Well, it fills its container perfectly. So if it's a ball-shaped container, you're gonna get a ball-shaped puddle of water. There you go. Look at the perfect reflections. So we went from the perfectly still glassy water, and then as the eagle flies a quarter mile away, we're going to be right here at the Prince Resort. Now, in the summer months, I won't be able to park down in the lot unless I make special arrangements. There's a fee to park there in the summer. Not this time of the year, though. Good morning, Jeff. Hey, good to see you. Hey, are we on right now? Hey, you're on. Here, let's do that. That'll be kind of funny. Go ahead and bring it up. Hey, good to see you. Hey, are we on right now? Hey, you're on. Here, let's do that. That'll be kind of funny. Go ahead. This is my friend Jeff Butler. Good morning. Good morning. So with 20 million people coming here this upcoming year, they'll come from all over the world to enjoy the beauty and majesty of creation right here. Like I mentioned, the sun will be approaching from this area today, and from this vantage point in the summer, it'll be coming up way over there. It runs a course, and because of the laws of perspective, further away is lower from the eyes of the observers. And I've got digital footage, proof of that. Evidence that demands a verdict. In this direction over here, the visibility is limited to less than a mile. It runs in, I can see a wall of fog down there. And because of the nature of what it is today, this is spectacular. Hey, all right. I don't know how to do that, Jeff. Let's see if I can have you join let's see, can I do that? Hey, Jeff, can you send another request? I don't know, I didn't tap on it quick enough to bring you on. All right. Jeff is a celebrated pilot, one of the best in the world, fighter pilot. All right, here I come, Jeff. I didn't know how to add you in the broadcast on the screen, so I'll just do it this way. Good to see you, man. I'm headed out to the point right now, and you'll be able to see what it looks like there. The video breaks up a little bit there, but it still should be it still should be good. Thanks, man. So the truth matters. That's the short version of all of this. When I head on down to the point here in Cherry Grove, that's where I've got the eagle footage more recently. And now you'll get an idea of the distance it is from the pier, because I'm going to walk us right out right now. Got the Truthmobile rigged up with a little bit better fuel economy and clearer combustion, because it had a sensor that was giving false information or inaccurate information to the computer. Okay, here's where I'm going to go with this. When we're trying to make life decisions and there's a computer giving us false information, like the science fiction that's being presented as reality, and it's not. We're not traveling to Mars. We didn't launch a car into space with the spaceman and the Tesla on it. If you all buy into that, I know you're deceived about that. The globe exists in the mind of the deceived, which ultimately would be the deceivers too. And I was one. I was one of the deceivers, and I did not know it. We promoted the Santa lie to our children when they were growing up. We thought it was innocent enough. Tell them that Santa Claus was going to deliver the presents, and then I forget how they found out. I found out when I was about 7 years old or so that the whole Santa lies. But what I want you to think about, and I've done this in some of my videos, hashtag NASA lies, hashtag Santa lies, hashtag Satan lies. Satan's the liar and the father of lies. Just should know that. So there's nothing in this world that's going to happen that God doesn't cause or allow. Remember, he created Satan knowing what he would do. In 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, God's word says to everybody forever, they refuse to love the truth and so be saved. For this reason, God sends them a powerful delusion. So I'm going to flip this back around so you can, I've been going just the speed limit here, 30. I got a computer that holds the speed right where it needs to be. That's pretty cool. That really helps driving a lot. So it's less than a couple miles away down here from the pier. And we've had a huge change in the configuration of the beach due to erosion. A large storm can move massive amounts of sand and water. This was all covered by water when Hurricane Matthew came on in, and that's just what'll happen. Now, with Hurricane Florence that happened earlier in later last year, what ends up happening is there is a flooding that occurred inland because of all the massive amount of rain. It was flooding our neighborhood where we missed it on the storm surge in the original rainfall that came in. What happens is the storm water builds up and then fills the container of the basin, and it's a very low geography here in the Carolinas. in the North or South Carolina where this is, it's a big deal. So I'm gonna put this on my tripod so I can take us on out there. Might find it kind of interesting. So right on the other side of those trees is where the point is. Here's once again the globe to illustrate the impossibility of water sticking on a ball, spinning or stationary. I show it, talk about it. I use a clear globe to help people see through the global lie. Supposedly, we're there and Australia's on the other side. No, it's not. It's a level plane is what it is. That's the truth, whether you like it and or agree with it or not. That's how that works. The truth isn't up for debate necessarily, like determining it. I believe God, who created this world, this environment that we live in, determined what the truth is, and He's the one that decided it. He created this place. So I'm gonna grab a coat. That just makes sense. It's a bit chilly out here. Let me set this up so I can step away for a moment. So once again, the simplicity is that even though the container is round, it's got a round bottom, the water will just flatten right out. That's what it'll do. So part of the dynamic too is having the proper equipment, and having things in order. Sorry about the little bit more haphazard for today. However, I wanted to go ahead and do this and show you. Just so you know, if I were to go down that way, I would lose the broadcast. It's just the way that is. So what I'll be doing is headed this way. It's a little bit longer, but I want to have a continuous broadcast. So yesterday on the recording I did, I showed that there was a 0% of moon. Today the moon shows back up. Where'd it go? Where was it? Did it just disappear? How does it work? It works well. There's mystery with it. Here we've got a little swimming pool, fills its container, reflects all that just beautifully, right? This is where we actually are right now. Now, the clues are all around us to the reality of the world that we live in. Okay, so the Prince Resort is right down there, about 2 miles away. The Intracoastal Waterway that we crossed over, I mentioned earlier, is up this way, probably close to 3 to 5 miles. You could look at it on Google Earth if you want to. So I've created some content that I call Veeams. It's where I invert the camera, which I'm about to do. Hang on, folks. Show me, link all the footage of the upside down spinning ball with stuff hanging on without inverting the camera. It's not happening. Now, as interesting as that might have been, what I want to help you to consider is that water doesn't stick to a spinning ball. And I've shown that time and time again. This reality that we're looking at shows that as well. The Veeams that I've created incorporated heavy equipment, high-powered diesel engines pumping millions of gallons of water and sand up onto the beach, and then moving it around with earth movers. The earth is stationary. We get earth movers to move the earth, sand and rock and all of that. There's no curvature visible on the horizon. There never has been. It doesn't exist except in the imagination. Earthcurvature.com is a helpful app to bring up the curvature we would see if we actually did live on a globe the proportions that the experts say we do, 25,000 miles. The reason that the horizon rises to eye level is it's a level plane, and that's what it does. If it was a ball going away from us, the higher we went, the less we would see. The reason ships apparently go over the horizon is optical perspective. I can bring it in with my high-powered zoom camera. Got proof of that. The jet trail, it's flying level. I'm gonna zoom in on this guy out here if I can. He's flying level over a level plane. That's what NASA doesn't always lie. They just lie. When they're training pilots to fly fixed-wing aircraft over a non-rotating level plane, they're telling the truth. They need to know the reality. They level out. That's what they do. There's no vehicle that could handle navigating the curvature of a globe. 8 inches per mile squared is over a 30% grade. When I've driven from coast to coast, I've done that. I averaged 55 miles per gallon on a modified Volkswagen diesel. When I got to the mountains, 5 to 7% grade, my fuel economy dropped to around 10 to 12 miles per gallon. Okay, 5 to 7% grade. 8 inches per mile squared means between here and California, there's 650 miles of missing curvature. More than a 30% grade. No locomotive or car could have navigated that, just so you know. You want to base your eternity on the truth or a lie? NASA, because atheists need a religion too, right? I've heard it said like that. So I'm gonna zoom in on the sun with just this camera. I've got some amazing sunrises. Zoomed in on the sun, it's obviously much, much closer. I don't know the distance and diameter. It's a light. It's a light in the sky. Wow. I should have brought my camera. They're never the same. Job 37 and 38, I believe it's 38, talks about the sun being in the midst of the clouds. People can argue about biblical interpretations and get them to support whatever lie they want to believe. I came at this wanting to know the truth. So when my friend Nigel Bakes asked me where's the curve when I had been making audio Bible videos out here, I looked for it, couldn't find it. I called Apple and I said, at 6 feet elevation, what is the vanishing point of the horizon at sea level? They still haven't gotten back to me. It's been 3 years. I'm not holding my breath on that. Good morning.
Oh, hey, how's it going?
Excellent. What a beautiful sunrise, eh? So where I was earlier is the coastal preserve, the Russell Burgess Coastal Preserve. It's right over there, a couple miles away. It's a bit of a trade-off. The P1000 is 5 pounds of camera, and it's a challenge to handle, especially when I'm going to go walking out into the ocean. Right in the middle of the view here, what we're going to notice, I hope you do, is that the reflection of those trees will show up right in the water down there on the wet sand. They can. I've got pictures and video of it. There are the clouds up above and down below. Now the sun is much like a laser beam cutting across the water, and the breaks in the reflection or the light beam will be caused by variations in the water, the waves. Let's zoom way on out there, and now I'm shooting on the other side of the waves. It's a pretty flat. See that? And headlights will do it, tail lights on a car when you're driving down the road. Like I've said, the clues are all around us. Will you be able to recognize them? I'm gonna go ahead and drop this so you can see that even a little bit better. I don't feel any wind right now at all. Here's the view of the trees right there, the reflection of the trees, and then the trees. Sea level liquid mirrors. We're at sea level. We had a flood that covered the face of the earth to over the tops of all the mountains. That's over 5.5 miles tall of mountains on this earth right now. That's a lot of extra water. The sandpipers are really fast movers. They are fun to watch. So I encourage people to get out and enjoy the beauty and majesty of creation. What clues will you find? So let me see about dropping this down a little bit. There you go, sea level. Do you see it? All right. So when I dropped the camera down, it's line of sight and I lost some of my broadcast. That's just what happens. So out here I have recorded the audio Bible merged with sunrises and sunsets. I've got one of them where the moon is setting and then the sun comes up, and I've shown and proven the reality that it's the sun and the moon that are moving and not the earth. Because they have an irregular, well, they're very regular. However, the duration of visibility between the sun and the moon changes. Different hours, amount of hours of the day. Glad to see somebody came on. I lost my broadcast for a moment, and now it appears to be back on. So when the truth is right in front of you, will you recognize it? Will you be able to see it? I hope so. I hope you do. The truth is basically Jesus is the embodiment of the truth. There's a lot of people that have a problem with the name Jesus and his title, Christ. He's the Alpha and Omega. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Okay, he created everything. If you want to know the identity of the creator of this world, Jesus Christ. That's who he is. That's why I do this. because he gave me new life, and I'm sharing a message to set other people free. As special as it is that I'm not a drug addict and alcoholic anymore, I'm completely off of medications, drugs that modified my perception of reality. Reality is for those who can't handle drugs. Nobody really can. They might fake it pretty well. Not me. I couldn't fake it. The legally prescribed drugs gave me fed an addiction to illegal drugs, and legal drugs taken illegally, operating vehicles while intoxicated. I've had it happen with car accidents and all of that. Pretty, isn't it? So I've got friends all over the world creating content to expose the reality of the world that we live in. That's pretty special to me. I actually get choked up sometimes when I'm watching some of the content that people have created to risk their lives to share the reality of the world that we live in. The controllers of this world ultimately are under the sovereign control of God. That's problematic for some. Satan ended up in the Garden of Eden, not by accident. That was by design, to create the need for the redemption that Jesus Christ would ultimately provide. A man must be born again to even see the kingdom of heaven. I see it, and I'm living in it right now. As weird as that may seem, we're all eternal beings having this temporary human experience. 3 people per second can't fog a mirror anymore. It's over. It's over for them. One of the reasons I like to include the island on the end over there is to just show you where we are. This tide will come in, fill up the coastal preserve, and then the water will, it'll keep coming in until a little after 9 o'clock this morning. Then it's gonna wanna get back out. It's just what it does. In the flood that Noah prepared for, we had 3 water sources. The floodgates of heaven. Have you seen floodgates? Massive amounts of water can move quickly. And then fountains, the fountains of the deep opened up. And then it rained, just to make sure it was all covered. Oh yeah. There's a lot of water up above the face of the earth. There's a firmament that separates the waters from above from the waters below. It's more than rain and clouds up there. There's a structure that God created. It's much like, we live in much like a terrarium, as best I can tell. Not a snow globe. It's not liquid throughout like a snow globe is. Do you know how much a gallon of water weighs? There's a lot of people that say flat earthers are stupid. Well, that's not true. Some of the most brilliant people I've ever met are aware that we're being lied to on epic proportions. Gallon of water, the weight depends on the temperature. The change of temperature changes the density and volume of the water. That temperature differential drives the whole water cycle of the world, the hydrologic cycle. Good morning. We've got evaporation, condensation, and precipitation in all its forms. Rain, snow, sleet, fog, humidity, all of that. That's all happening. So like I mentioned earlier, we've got a comfortable temperature here right now. Imagine what would happen if we had 100 degrees below zero. The system, the artificial intelligence modifies the weather. If we had 100 below on the mercury, and no electricity, we'd lose hundreds of millions of people within weeks, maybe days or hours. People would just freeze solid. You don't have to look any further than the day after tomorrow, where supposedly ice caps are melting and all of that. There's the reality that we live in that's disturbing enough. We don't need to mix it with fantasy. I do believe I see the eagle up there. I'm going to zoom in and see if I can show you. I believe he's in the tree on the branch right in the middle of the view. If I stick my finger there, it's going to look way too big. So I want to thank you all for the encouragement, the public and private likes and shares. It's a big deal. I don't monetize my channel. I hope I never need to. I don't believe I will find that necessary. When I hashtag titles, it's an economical way for me to share a lot of information quickly with people. Because of my activity on social media, I may have 1,000 notifications in a day. I can't respond to them all. I can't respond to all the comments and go back and forth. It's more of like me saying, hey y'all, NASA's lying, I ain't buying. Reality exposes the global lie. Are you interested in knowing the truth? If you are, I believe you're going to find it on my channel. The audio Bible merged with the beauty of sunrises, that playlist is called YouTube Truth. In the context of that, I'm showing the reality of the world that you're looking at. It's a beautiful thing. So we should see reflections of the birds. The modern theoretical physicists meander off into formulas and explanations that do not reflect reality at all. There is a veritable kaleidoscope of conspiracy, meaning that there are so many conspiracies that are actually going on. How will you be able to sort it out? How will you be able to recognize those when they're in front of you? The pharmaceutical industry drugging humanity, NASA giving a false reality, and using onboard endorphins, dopamine, norepinephrine, all the drugs that the brain operates on that can be artificially stimulated. It happens with fantasy as well. A variety of fantasies. The space is the final frontier, but it was filmed in a Hollywood basement, like the Red Hot Chili Peppers talk about. The moon landing is obviously a hoax. If you can't see that, I'm sorry to hear that. Now I'm gonna drop this down, and I want to show you part of the mystery of how the reflection will follow the eyes of the observer. Here we go. I kind of scared a bunch of little birds. There's a whole bunch of them up here, and I wanted to show you. But that reflection will just continue to follow us. Some people say, yeah, the shape of the earth doesn't matter. Really. Doesn't matter that we're being presented a false reality people are basing their eternity on. Heck, if what NASA says is true, we're a cosmic cough, a random accident. So do your own thing. Rape, pillage, and plunder. Because in a while you'll be down under. It doesn't matter, right? Not true. Not true. There's a day of reckoning, a day of accounting for our sin. Okay, mine was paid for, a price I couldn't pay. I have new life in Christ. I'm a new creature in Him. These guys know I'm a local. I've been coming out here for years. That is so funny. They are adorable. I've spent on different days to put together a 12-hour broadcast. I've been out here over 19 hours. See, they know that the water's getting deeper. They had to move. That's what they did. And it comes in very gentle. These little sandpipers have legs that are less than 1.5 inches long. Now, they're not afraid of the people that are out here at all. A little puppy dog come out? Oh yeah, they'll be flying. So when I recorded the eagle flying out to get the bird that he took away for a dinner for one, that was kind of interesting. All these birds flew. Eagles eat birds too, you know. They're quite the predator. And scavenger as well. So within the truth movement, there is a lot of deception. Just so you know, it's a spiritual smorgasbord. There's a lot of legalism in the movement of the Judaizers, as Paul would call them, the Torah observers. If you're a Torah observer and believe that that's how you have your redemption, and you're showing us all how right with God, let me do this, how right with God you are, because you're able to apparently observe the dietary laws and Sabbath laws. Got news for you. That's not good enough. Our righteousness needs to exceed that of the scribes and Pharisees. The only way that can happen is by actually being born again, not just talking about it, not just congregating on the right day at the right location. When I was first born again, I was trying to lay the blame on anybody but me as to what the delay, over 30-year delay was. What I found out was pretty disturbing and comforting all at the same time. God had a different message He wanted to share to humanity through me. And that's basically that I thought I was born again until I actually was. The evidence of a new nature was absent in my life. And then when I was born again, I was set free. Now, set free from a life of sin. The other thing here I want you to consider too is the reality that there is loving our neighbor as ourselves, loving God with all my heart, soul, mind, and strength is not humanly possible. It's not possible to do it. If you think you're doing that on your own, then I believe you would be deceived on that. So although believing the correct shape of the earth or the accurate shape of the earth is not a salvation issue, what is a salvation issue is that you're actually truly born of the Spirit, not just hoping you are. Now, before I was truly born of the Spirit, I actually struggled so much for so long, and I was rededicated many, many times, and cried, repented, and tried to do my best. I cried and I tried and I failed. And then the Lord helped me to realize that all I needed to do was actually be born of His Spirit. And I remember wondering, well, I thought that happened. I was just one of those people struggling with the flesh. I was in the smoking section, so to speak. I remember thinking I was born again, getting ready for work and smoking cigarettes in the shower and drinking vodka for breakfast. What's wrong with this picture? Well, all I had was the flesh. All I had was my human nature. I didn't have the new nature. So I'll be posting some videos that'll probably cause me to lose some more friends. Well, that's okay. And it'll make room for more friends if that does happen. I'm interested in exposing the truth and the reality. There are those that are in what would be termed by some the Sacred Name Movement, Torah observers. It's not possible to obey Scripture biblically in our own strength. And if we could obey the Scriptures sufficiently to be saved, we wouldn't need a Savior. So that's that. So we do need a Savior. I am born again, and I'm grateful for that. New life in Christ. Absolutely priceless. You know, I never know when a video that I produce is going to go viral. I've got a few with a lot of views. The local sun video by Infinite Earth is at over 700,000 views. And in the context of that, I'm talking about the need to be born again, that NASA is lying, all of that. Where the sun and the moon appear and vanish can't be explained by the heliocentric model. The video I shot this morning showed our wind chime out on our driveway. And I talked about it, a very brief video. Supposedly we're spinning, wobbling, and gyrating in over 4 directions, yet we can't feel any of the movement. We don't see it on the water. If all that movement were happening over 500,000 miles an hour of multiple direction movement, we wouldn't have perfectly still water. It'd be sloshing all over the place. And in this video earlier, you can see perfectly or virtually perfectly still glassy water. It exists. I hope you can hear these sandpipers. They are adorable. Good morning. Oh yeah, I'm doing a live Facebook broadcast that'll turn into a YouTube video. If you go to YouTube Truth, you'll see it, and if you go to my Facebook, you'll see yourself on there later. If you want to wave and smile, I got you on right now. Thank you, dear. I've ridden horseback over there on that island. It's beautiful. A lot of wonderful memories out here. Took a still shot out here on a day I did a video where it's my cover photo right now, showing the sunrise and the beautiful crepuscular rays coming out and glassy water. It's all spectacular. So I know the videos I make, some of them are rather long, and if you care to, you can either scroll on by or scroll through the video, and you can view it as almost like a time lapse if you want to. So the short version is the truth matters. That's what this is about, exposing the truth. What you're looking at here is higher is drier. The lighter colored sand is drier, and then lower is wetter. We get out here, that's the high tide line of last night, less than a 5-foot high tide. I've got video with 7-foot tide, king tide, they'll call them. The relationship between the sun and the moon and stars and the tides is all reliable. Right here in the view, I want to show you something. The trees look a bit slanted on the reflection because it's the beach that's slanted. Yeah, the trees aren't perfectly vertical either, but the idea is the symmetry is there, and you're looking at a sea level liquid mirror. Wet sand reflects very nicely. Water reflects, undisturbed water is a perfect natural level. The wind chimes display plumb, vertical. It's not possible for a crane to operate upside down, lifting heavy objects upside down, wobbling and gyrating. A crane operator, that wouldn't work. The globe exists only in the imagination, folks. That's where it is. So in the view right here, we can see the hot spot of that cloud, of the sun on the cloud right there. Can you see that? So the sun is relatively close. I know it gives off a good amount of heat. You can start a fire by magnifying the sunlight through a piece of ice. So I've started combustion with water through the reflection and magnification, I should say. My water jugs will focus the light to such a point that it'll cause combustion of cardboard, dry grass, that type of thing. So the water will just keep coming in sheets. So I'm going to probably put Veeam in the title as well. And I'm going to invert this again for a little bit and just show you the impossibility of the globe, meaning that water is sticking to the bottom of a spinning and wobbling and, of course, the gyrating globe.